What's going on, everybody? Crazy Dog back for another video, and this is going to be my first full round mock draft of the year. Of course, oh man, can't believe it's draft season. My favorite time of the year, see who people think my team's gonna get. And of course, my team this year has the #1 pick because we freaking suck. Yeah, we suck. We trash. Garbage. Hope we get better for next year, because this happens next year, I'm going to be very, very mad. I'm going to be raging a lot, I'll tell you that. But yeah, anyways, the Cleveland Browns have the #1 pick thanks to a 1-15 record. I know, it's garbage. Hope we do better than this next year. We better. On our schedule, legit, I see 6 wins at least. But it all depends on what we do in free agency and the draft. So, without further delay, let's get right to the picks. Starting off with my Browns at #1. With the #1 pick, I have the Cleveland Browns, my Cleveland Browns, selecting Myles Garrett out of Texas A&M. Legit. This dude is he's a monster, He demands attention at all times from the opposing offense. You always got to know where he is, because I bet you, the Browns would switch him up at times, put him, at linebacker, at defensive end. You could put him anywhere on the front 7 except for nose tackle. That's Danny Shelton's spot. You ain't going to take his spot. No. He'll eat you. But, yeah, I think the Browns would be very smart to go Garrett, but I would not be surprised if they went Jared Allen. I wish. Jonathan Allen out of Alabama. But yeah, Garrett's just got he's just got that ability, People are comparing him to Joey Bosa, and from what I've seen, I understand the comparisons. Those two guys are almost the exact same. I love it. Hope we can get Garrett or Allen. We better be able to. We have the #1 pick. If we don't get any of those guys, I don't know what the heck this team's thinking. But of course, this is my mock draft. It will change multiple times, I think. It depends on what the team does in free agency. But yeah, I have the Browns going Garrett #1. The dude's just that much of a freak. I tried to watch him in the bowl game against Kansas State. Didn't really do too much, mainly because Kansas State game planned around him. They did not really, put the ball anywhere near him. They ran the ball away from him. They double and triple teamed him all game long. Very hard to really get anything definitive out of him there. People are actually saying he sucks. It's like, you're going to base your judgment off of one game? And it was the bowl game. Really? Look at his season stats and highlights, and then you can make your judgment on him. But right now, I think Garrett is probably one of the best players in the draft, next to Jonathan Allen, for sure. Okay, now moving on. #2 pick goes to the San Francisco 49ers, and with the second pick, I have the Niners choosing DeShone Kizer, quarterback out of Notre Dame. Of course, they're going to get a new coach and a new, GM. They're going to have a lot of reshuffling in the front office, most likely. Yeah, they need a quarterback. They're not going in the next year with Kaepernick or Gabbert. That's a given. I mean, they do. That's a failure on everyone, man. Bruh, those two guys, they embarrassed the team, man. Especially Kaepernick, that America-hating douchebag with his freaking humongous afro. He looks stupid, man. He looks stupid. He is stupid, But that's what he wants to do, Cause drama. I don't even think Kaepernick will be with the Niners next year. All right, moving on. Coming in at #3 is the Chicago Bears. Shout out to all you Bears fans out there. I have I think I have like 1 or 2 Bears fans who follow me. I know one for sure, Josh Boy. Yeah. I know he's a Bears fan. Watching the Cavs right now. They are losing to the Chicago Bulls. What is it, 69-57. Not looking too good. Don't have Kyrie Irving or Kevin Love. LeBron's playing sick. So, yeah, it's not looking too good right now. But we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I have the Bears going Deshaun Watson at number 3. Another team that needs a quarterback. They're rolling with Jay Cutler, Matt Barkley, and Brian Hoyer right now. That's a bad situation. I think Deshaun Watson would give him the best chance to win. He's got great mobility. Of course, he got Jordan Howard and Kevin White as weapons. I don't know about Alshon Jeffrey. It depends on if he stays or goes or whatever. Maybe they can bring in a receiver out of free agency or, draft one later in the draft or whatever. But for right now, I'm saying Watson going to the Bears. Coming in at number 4 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And with the 4th pick, I have the Jags selecting, almost said it again, almost said Jared Allen. I keep saying that. So why do I keep saying Jared Allen? I wish we could get Jared Allen, but he retired. Jonathan Allen. Jonathan Allen. Jonathan Allen goes to the Jags, making that front 7 even more nastier than it originally was. It wasn't really that nasty to begin with. Dante Fowler coming off an injury. Malik Jackson, he's good. They got some good pieces. Adding in Jonathan Allen, I think that defense gets better. And then you add in the coaches that they bring in. This could be a good team. They could be a dark horse for the AFC South next year. I don't know if they're going to win it, but we'll see what they do with their coaching situation first. Coming in at number 5 is the Tennessee Titans by way of the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, the Rams traded up to number 1 to get Jared Goff, or should I say Jared Gaff, because his career has been a big old gaff so far. It's just been a laugher. He sucks. Of course, it doesn't really help that, Fisher decided to pretty much not start him until, at the end of the year. Oh, we're not going to start him until the Rams are eliminated. Boy, you suck, though. Man, Rams suck, so they should have just started him the whole year, see what he had. But no, let's start Case Keenum. Bruh. Fail. But yeah, coming in at number 5 is the Tennessee Titans. And with the 5th pick, I have the Titans selecting wide receiver Mike Williams out of Clemson. Big play receiver, the Titans already got Mariota. They got DeMarco Murray, Derrick Henry, Delaney Walker. If only they had a big play receiver. Of course, they used to have that in DGB until they let him go. They sent him over to Philly for some scrub offensive lineman. And they need a big play receiver, to stretch the field, open it up for the running game. And I think Williams will be able to do that for him. Shout out to Kev's point of view. He's in the TTC, of course. Titans fan. I was actually in one of his hangouts. It was awesome. He's a good dude. The AFC South is going to be something to watch next year. Of course, we face them next year. Again, for the 4th year in a row. Man. Coming in at number 6 is the New York Jets. And with the 6th pick, I have the Jets selecting Mitch Trubisky, quarterback out of North Carolina. From what I saw in their bowl game, it wasn't too good for Mitch. Didn't really do too much, made a few mistakes. Of course, they lost. He had a decent game. Wasn't an amazing game, but it wasn't an awesome game. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't awesome. He did all right, But, the dude's really got the intangibles to be a good quarterback. He's got great footwork, great arm strength, good vision. The only thing I have against him is this lack of experience starting. Only 1 year as a starter. It's not very good. Nope, not at all. So, that quarterback room over there in New York, and the Jets, man, it's going to be crowded. But we'll see what they do with Fitzpatrick and Geno and them. But yeah. So, Trubisky going to the Jets. Coming up next at number 7 is the San Diego Chargers. And with the 7th pick, I have the Chargers selecting Cam Robinson, offensive tackle out of Alabama. It's a curse to be an offensive lineman for the Chargers. much like the Browns. But the Chargers seem to have the inability to keep their offensive linemen healthy. Maybe I think that could be on their strength and conditioning coaches, because it seems like every time you look, they're losing a guy for like the year or something. I mean, it's just sad to see that over there. Great fan base. They got some pretty amazing players down there. And if only they could stay healthy, they could be a dangerous team in the West. But they just can't stay healthy. And their fans try so hard to support them, but their ownership just doesn't care. It's sad to see. But yeah, Cam Robinson would definitely give him that stalwart on the offensive line to protect Phillip Rivers and keep him upright and keep his jersey clean. One less jersey to clean if you're the equipment manager. Okay, coming up next at number 8 is the Carolina Panthers, and with the 8th pick, I have the Panthers selecting Jamal Adams out of LSU. They need some help on the secondary. Of course, they don't have Norman. I believe they could go corner like in the next round. But right now I have them going Jamal Adams, safety. Because, they need help everywhere in the secondary. But Jamal Adams would just give them that big boost for the secondary. And I think they would benefit big time from that. Jamal has got some great range. I didn't really see too much of him in the bowl game. He looked okay. Didn't look amazing, Did get burnt for a touchdown, though, I tell you that. That looked bad. Oh, man. But, yeah. Jamal Adams goes to the Panthers. Coming in at number 9 is the Bengals. And with the 9th pick, I have Cincinnati picking Jabril Peppers out of Michigan. Just another dude with an attitude going to Cincinnati, The dude does not like Ohio, but I'm pretty sure he'd love Cincinnati because it's the biggest city in Kentucky. But yeah, the dude's just, I don't know what's wrong with him. He has a bit of an attitude. Didn't play in their bowl game. I don't know why he didn't play, but yeah. Cincinnati would be very smart to get him because, but the thing is, where do you put him? Safety, linebacker, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. Harbaugh had this dude playing almost every position except for lineman. It's like, come on, man. Pick a position and stay there. Ay, ay, ay. He's like a utility player in baseball. You can put him anywhere. You can't even say Jabril Peppers safety. You have to say Jabril Peppers defender. Because you just don't know where you're going to put him. Linebacker, safety, corner, water boy, usher, concession stand attendant. Who knows? Band director. They don't have a band. I know that. Being funny. But yeah, coming in at number 10 is the Buffalo Bills. And with the 10th pick, I have the Bills selecting Corey Davis out of Western Michigan. Add him with Robert Woods and Sammy Watkins, and that's a pretty good trio right there. I think they have a receiver who was like an Olympian. I just can't remember his name. So if you guys can help me refresh my memory, you put his name in the comment section, so I can, I can picture him burning the Jets in their Thursday night game. I just can't remember his name. His name escapes me for some reason. I don't know why. I want to say Gilmore, but I don't know. I don't think it's Stephon Gilmore. He's a corner. But I have Corey Davis going to the Bills. Another awesome receiver. This guy's got some crazy good skills. Fluid motion. He can get off the line fast. He excels at route running. It's awesome to watch him play. Great hands too. He has a knack for the ball. Can get open easily. He's just a great player, Great player. Coming in at number 11 is the New Orleans Saints. And with the 11th pick, I have the Saints selecting Malik Hooker, cornerback, safety, wherever you want to put him in the secondary, out of Ohio State. This dude's got insane range. Not to mention I think he leads the nation in pick sixes. maybe even interceptions. I don't know. I know he doesn't lead in interceptions, but he's definitely up there in pick sixes. This dude was a big part of the Silver Bullets secondary, the Ohio State secondary. That's a nickname for it, Silver Bullets, because they're always flying around making plays. That's Malik Hooker's specialty: make plays. Give their offense the ball back. That's one thing he's really good at. Helping out his offense. All right. And by the way, the Saints really need that, because right now I think they have Calvin Bro, something like that. That's their best corner, and they need help on the secondary. They need help on the defense as a whole, especially secondary though. But coming in at number 12 is the Browns once again. Thank you, Philly. And with the 12th pick, I have the Browns drafting Solomon Thomas out of Stanford. I watched this dude against North Carolina. And this dude is just amazing, dude. I mean, oh my God. Imagining Solomon Thomas lining up next to Garrett, Charlton, and Agba. Oh my God. You could put Garrett at linebacker and put Thomas at defensive end, and you could just set them free and let them attack the quarterback. This dude is just a freak. He's got a brain too. He's got smarts too. He can pretty much he knows what the offense is doing before they're doing it. It's awesome. Not to mention, he's from Stanford, so that means he must be smart, right? But yeah, Solomon Thomas goes to the Browns. Just another, big addition to the Browns defense. I've heard actually that the front office has thought about going defense in the first round, and I would not be opposed to that. We need help on the defense more than we need help on the offense, and I think Solomon Thomas would definitely be a big upgrade. At the linebacker or wherever they want to put him. Maybe I think it'd be a lot more linebacker though. But we could also put him on the defensive line. This dude's just a monster. He's just that kind of a monster, dude. I love it. All right, coming in at number 13 is the Arizona Cardinals, and with the 13th pick, I have them selecting Reuben Foster, linebacker out of Alabama. I believe they're gonna. They need help on the defense as a whole. But Reuben Foster would definitely help that defensive interior front seven out big time. I don't really know who their linebackers are, but they need help. They could use it. They could definitely use Reuben Foster. He's a playmaker. And who would not want a guy like Reuben Foster? He makes plays all over the field. It's just awesome to watch him play. Of course, we're going to see him against Clemson, see what he can do against Garrett and that offense of Clemson, I'm not Garrett. Why did I say Garrett? I meant Watson. Why did I say Garrett? That's weird. I'm thinking of Myles Garrett. I don't know why. It's been a long day. Coming in at number 14 is the Indianapolis Colts. And with the 14th pick, I have the Colts selecting Dalvin Cook, much to the chagrin of the Philadelphia Eagles, because the Eagles really wanted him. I don't even know if the chagrin's even the right word. But at the expense of the Eagles, I think the Colts would draft Dalvin Cook, and Eagles fans, start raging because they wanted Dalvin Cook. But no, the Colts troll them and pick him up, leaving Eagles fans like freaking mad because they had a guy right there waiting for him. But hey, whatever, gotta pounce on him if you have the chance. So with the 15th pick, speaking of the Eagles, the hometown Eagles, because the draft's going to be in Philadelphia this upcoming year. So the 15th pick, the Eagles select John Ross, wide receiver out of Washington. Their receiving core is garbage. Like, it's worse than the Browns, to be honest. They need receivers. They got a good quarterback for once, but they don't got receivers, Nelson Aguilar's trash. Jordan Matthews is good, but he's hurt. And then Doyle Green Beckham was not utilized to his utmost potential. Really, I remember when they first acquired him, Eagles fans were all like, yeah, man, we're going to hit him with that that goal line fade. Okay. Well, good luck with that. And they were all excited, man. And he hasn't really done too much for him. You know? He hasn't really done too much. But I think a guy like John Ross would definitely help him out. You know, he's got pretty much everything that you want in a receiver, you know? But we'll see what happens. Coming in at number 16 is the Baltimore Ravens. And with that pick, I have the Ravens selecting Charles Harris out of Missouri. Just another linebacker, you know. He could potentially replace T-Sizzle when he retires eventually. But another big guy, you know, you can just fill up the front seven with. Playmaker, you know, gets after the quarterback, causes havoc in the backfield. Just another great player. Coming in at number 17 is, hang on, let me pull it up. I don't know why it just went out on me. Hang on. I actually had the draft order right here. I'm using Walter Football for the draft order, and I had to click the next page. Coming in at number 17 is the Washington Redskins, and with that pick, I have them drafting Quincy Wilson out of Florida, just to add another, you know, corner to that secondary with Breland and Norman and Hall, you know. So now they got a complete secondary right there, you know, in terms of corners. But yeah, I think adding Wilson would definitely make that secondary even more dangerous than it already is. You know, throw there at your own risk. I mean, you got Breland and Norman to cover the X and Y receivers, and then you can have Wilson cover the slot, or Hall and Norman can do the wide out, like the far wide receivers, and the other two can do slot. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. That'll probably be what they do, you know. But again, we will find out. Coming in at number 18 is the Tennessee Titans, and with that pick, I have them selecting Jalen Tabor out of Florida. You know, they don't really have the best corners. You know, I think McCurdy, he's good, but he's kind of getting up there. You know, I think he's the oldest of the McCurdys. So, yeah, I think his brother plays for the Patriots. I think, not sure, but he's not. I mean, he can only do so much. You know. But yeah, I think Jalen Tabor would definitely give him that added threat of another corner. He has an eye for the ball, make plays, and help your offense out by putting them in good field position. Ooh. All right, coming up next is at 19 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I have them selecting Mike McGlinchey. He's the lineman out of Notre Dame. Offensive lineman. You know, I mean, oh yeah, he's an offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Okay. They need help. I mean, hey, they could use him. They could use him. Another guy to help keep Jameis Winston on his feet, making plays for that offense. You know, open up holes for Doug Martin. You know, hey, the more the merrier, right? Even if he's just used for depth, which I don't think they would do that. He would be a starter for sure. But, I mean, they need some help on the offensive line. That's for sure. That's a definite yes. Coming in at number 20 is the Denver Broncos. And with the 20th pick, I have the Denver Broncos selecting Taco Charlton. Yep. So, another, you know, awesome linebacker. Dude can make plays like crazy. He has a nose for the backfield. Every time you look, he's in the backfield making plays. You know, I'm pretty sure he can also cover tight ends too. So he can do a lot of good stuff for the defense. And I think Denver would definitely benefit from him being on the field. So that's going to do it for part 1 of this 2-part thing here, a 2-part draft. I will have part 2 coming up shortly. Of course, we got 21 to 32, the playoff teams. This was the non-playoff section, 25 minutes, so it's not a bad amount of time, you know, not too bad. So yeah, I'm Crazy Dog 99, and I'll see you in part 2.